Doolittle's plane is first down the runway, the commander leading the flight. As the carrier plows through heavy seas, one bomber after another soars from the flight deck, pointed for Japan.
Today we pause and remember the sacrifices of the Doolittle Raiders. When the chips were down and our nation faced a world war against two peer competitors, when our economy was faltering, and when racial justice divided our nation even within our own military ranks, the Doolittle Raiders were visionaries who didn't wait. They were bold, and they led the change of future warfare. On that very day, the Raiders cemented the very notion of joint air power, with clear statement that America's Air Force, working together with our joint teammates, could hold any target at risk, anywhere, anytime.
Today's global environment is rapidly changing and complex. To be a successful military profession, one must develop an understanding of today's competition in the global commons. It is a critical competency that our military professionals can think and strategize across all domains. The future will be simultaneously contested, congested, and constrained. Operating successfully in this environment requires innovative policies and strategy. The Doolittle Leadership Center is the ideal institute to support the military profession and stands as an example for all services.
Thankfully, the collaboration of this Leadership Center will foster and will enable the partnership between senior leaders of the Air Force, the Space Force, industry, and think tanks, and allow us to move with a purpose, to accelerate the required change in order to remain the most dominant, respected Air Force in the world, and a brand new Space Force as well.
We know we can no longer take space for granted. The scope, the scale, the complexity of counter-space weapons are rapidly increasing. Our adversaries realize that space power strengthens national power, and our military will be challenged to be #1 on Earth if we are #2 in space. The Doolittle Leadership Center is a critical enabler to ensure the Space Force's ability to adapt to this rapidly changing character of space operations. We see the Doolittle Leadership Center helping us to innovate by capitalizing on the rapid change we see across our space industry, our national strength. The Space Force intends to leverage the power of digital capabilities to move with speed. We cannot afford to replicate the legacy business models. And like the Doolittle raid, we need to focus on plans that are bold, that are innovative, even if they have high risk.
General Wright reached out to the family for permission to use Granddad's name for the Air Force Association's Doolittle Leadership Center. I was thrilled. General Wright laid out a plan to reach down through the ranks and touch individual airmen. A plan that involved listening to them, learning from them, developing them into strong leaders. A plan that gave airmen and industry the opportunity to interact, to build relationships and networks, to discuss the needs of the Air Force and the ability of industry to develop weapons and weapons systems to protect America and her allies in this rapidly changing world. Today, the Air Force Association is evolving to meet the needs of today's airmen.
Accelerating change is a message that would have no doubt resonated with a world-class pilot who possessed the combined intellect and courage to always push the limits of technology and human endurance and learn to fight from the neck up. War is a collaborative endeavor. He who fights alone all too often dies alone. We fight and we win in coalitions, and even when an idea originates with one fine mind, it develops and gets better when we inject competition and cooperation into the picture. A diversity of thinking exposes blind spots and finds us new answers to vexing problems. This is the nature of innovation, and it is precisely what our Doolittle Leadership Center is all about. Like Wall Street and Silicon Valley, like the relationship between General Arnold, industry, and Rand, your Doolittle Leadership Center will serve precisely the same role. It will be a cauldron of creativity and collaboration, The DLC will be a place to bring together the best military, industry, and research community talent and to expose them to new ideas as they get to know and trust each other, expanding their horizons and imaginations across the national security community. The DLC is also about continuing to reinforce the heart and commitment of the volunteer that was so important to General Doolittle as he led the establishment of the Air Force Association in 1946. Across our AFA membership and volunteer leadership, there are untapped opportunities for the Doolittle Leadership Center to enable and empower and equip our experienced and selfless volunteer leaders and ensure AFA is increasingly relevant for our airmen and Space Force professionals today and well into the future.